Hey, welcome back to the shade tree. We're continuing on with the old 55 Willys. Last week we got the chassis cleaned up and undercoated. We got our steering box taken apart and put back together. This week what I think we ought to do is tackle this nasty old transfer case. See if we can't get it cleaned up, painted, and rebuilt. Still got to get the transmission off the engine, get the engine stripped down the rest of the way, and get the new gaskets in her, get her spruced up, maybe a paint job, get the transmission out, cleaned up, painted, and rebuilt. And also we should probably start cleaning up and painting some of the smaller items just to get some of that off our checklist. Let's see how far we can get this week. Let's see if we can get the rest of this engine stripped down. All right, I went and pulled the valve plate off. Don't look too bad in there. But that gasket disintegrated. I think that was the source of the oil leak on that side, really bad. There were pieces of it missing, so I'm sure that's exactly what was going on there. I know we want to pull the head on it. I want to get the water pump off, but man, I'm almost afraid to try to crank on them bolts. I already snapped one, as you know. Got the water neck off. We're gonna have to start working on getting this transmission off of here. I did find out that there are 2 bolts on the back side of the flywheel, and I tried to get a wrench in there once, but man, I'll tell you what, that is tight. I guess we're going to keep plugging away at it. I'm going to go ahead and say that clutch has seen better days, for sure. All right, now that we got that transmission out of there, let's do a quick update on things. Still working on this transfer case. I can't get the front yoke off. I ain't got a clue why, but she's on there. Got the rear one off. Got the new gasket for the steering box. We can finish that up. I think there's 2 bolts holding this bell housing on. We're going to try to get those out, get this separated so we can get this engine stripped down, cleaned, new gaskets in, painted, and ready to go back in the frame. Tell you what, this thing does not want to come off. But I think we're going to go to sledgehammer after this. Done being nice. We are back out here once again on the old 55. on a new day. Well, I guess it's been a couple of days now. As you guys may know, we've gotten a lot of rain here in Kentucky the past couple of days, so it's been tough to get out here. I'll put up a little picture of the beginning of all this. Yeah, so we ended up with a moat around our house pretty much. We were one of the lucky ones. Our area did not flood, but many areas did. So there's a lot of cleanup going on, and I'll put a number up or a website up if you're in a position to help out the people of Kentucky. That would be greatly appreciated. But on a brighter note, today we're going to do something a little bit different because we are quickly running out of room to work here. So I think what we're going to do is try to re-implement our redneck body lift. And what we're going to do is pop the blocks off the bottom of those and put the wheels on. We're going to lower the body down onto the wheels and see if we can't roll this thing out of here. Throw the tires back on the chassis and see if we can roll the chassis in. That's the plan. Don't know how well it's going to work, but as you can see, it's become a disaster area and it's very difficult to work. I got the transmission on that table over there. I've got the transfer case over here fighting me. Can't get the yoke off the front. It's just been a nightmare trying to get this thing apart. It's so greasy and caked on with I'm thinking of gear oil and clay and just hardened into concrete. I don't know. I've been beating and heating and everything else trying to get this thing off, but it's just not coming off. So I think in the interest of trying to keep this moving forward, at least if we can get the chassis in here, I do have shocks, shackles, brake parts. We can clean up the drums, get them painted, get the front differential painted. We got the gasket for the steering, so we can go ahead and put that in, put the steering box back in, and just kind of keep this thing moving along. We're in for, the rains have subsided, but we are in for now sub-zero temperatures and snow. Still working on getting the bell housing off this engine. I would love to get the bell housing off and get this thing on an engine stand and roll it out of our way. So if anybody's got a suggestion as how to get this yoke off here without using a cutting wheel, I'm wide open to suggestions. Like I said, depends on how this thing comes apart and goes back together, whether or not we're going to do a chassis swap. Still on the table, man. We got the wheels on the redneck body lift. I'm about to hoist it up, get it off these stands, get it on the wheels, drop it down, and see if the redneck body lift is going to work the way it was designed to. So we can roll this thing out of here. So without further ado, let's get the front wheels on and see if we can't lower this thing down and see if she'll roll. I bolted the 2x4s to body mounts in the front and back to stabilize it. So hopefully it won't do this, but we shall see. I went through and through with the bolt, so it should be strong enough. I mean, this thing probably weighs, I don't know, 400 or 500 pounds, which really isn't that much. We'll see. We'll see if these wheels will be up to the challenge. All right, so let's just say that the redneck body lift is a no-go. Okay, officially. Let's just say she has stability issues. So it's a little too sketchy for me. I'm not going to take a chance with it. So we'll have to figure out a different way or do things the hard way, like we always do. We'll build our chassis out in the yard, and when the time comes, we will pick this thing up higher, shove the chassis underneath, and just do it like that. So the only thing we can do, fellas, we have jack stands and pump jacks. That's all we got to work with, so we don't have any fancy lift or anything. But that's the Shade Tree way, man. So the redneck body lift is officially a no-go. But you ain't never gonna know unless you try, right? We gave it a try. It's a no-go. So I guess from here, like I said, the next 2 or 3 days it's supposed to be sub-zero weather. We're gonna probably take a break from it and maybe come out here. Possibly we could start doing a little bit of body work, maybe, huh? Who knows? There's certainly enough of it to do, for sure. In the meanwhile, I'll keep cranking on this transfer case, see if I can't get that yoke off. Who knows? I might get lucky. Well, we can probably take the transmission into the other garage connected to the house, get some heat in there, and rebuild us a transmission. A T-90. A T-90A-1. I know this because it's on the side of the case. Okay, so let's do that stuff. Okay, so we're in the heated garage. All right, let's tear down this transmission today and see if we can't get it rebuilt. It's gonna take me 3 hours to get this snap ring off. I can see that already. Bingo. All that beating and never lost any of them needle bearings. Huh. Looks like there's a lot of wear on there. I'm kind of thinking we should probably order another one. I'm sure the gears aren't the greatest either, but if they're not chipped or anything, we're gonna go ahead and use them. It's a budget build, fellas. A budget build. Alright, we got the reverse shaft out, but it looks to be in worse condition than the cluster shaft. I think we're going to need both of them, actually. This one scored pretty good. This one looks like it's cracked right there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I can feel it with my finger. It's a big gouge in it. So this is not going to work for us. Input shaft doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's not the greatest, but you know, it's not chewed up or anything. So I don't think we need a new one of those. You can see the gears don't look bad, other than the rust. Cluster gear, other than being a little rusty, There's no missing teeth, nothing like that. So I guess I'm going to order 2 new shafts because those ones aren't going to work. We're going to drop this in a bucket of something to clean it, and we'll get it painted, and as soon as those parts come in, we'll be reassembling. Alright, I think it's time to do a budget restoration on our transmission case, and we're going to be using some of this engine enamel, black gloss. It'll look alright. Alright, so we got the transmission case ready to be rebuilt. Threw a quick coat of paint on it. Well, let me tell you something, fellas. This transmission has seen a rough life. Another thing is too, this input shaft, though the shaft itself don't look too bad, but these needle bearings are seized inside there. The last step is to put some heat to it. Maybe I can get them to loosen up. Probably should just go ahead and get a new input shaft, but money's starting to add up on this thing. As you know, it's a budget build, so we can't put a ton of money into this transmission, so just nothing is cooperating. Nothing is easy. The transmission is probably on hold, along with the transfer case. So we've accomplished just about nothing this week. Actually, it's been more than a week. It's been a couple of weeks, and just nothing has gone right. About the only thing left we can do to keep things rolling is maybe start some of the body work. My plan now is to probably should start at the top and work our way down. So what I want to do, get it off these large jack stands, possibly low enough to get on the car dollies. You know, pull these things off, mount the car dollies onto here, and maybe we can get, you know, roll it around a little bit just to start working on the top of this thing. It's got a few holes in it. It's got some pretty good dents in it. I think she oil cans near the back there. Up in here, see, got that. You got holes. We got this big dent here that's got to be worked out. Maybe starting tomorrow, we're going to start doing some body work. We have achieved success with the car dollies. As you can see, she's on there and she does roll. We got her lowered down enough to start working on this roof. You know, it's pretty rough. You can see, it just looks like the wavy ocean. So I can guarantee you one thing, it ain't gonna be perfect. I guess the first order of body work that I want to do, I want to try to address this dent right here. See if we can get behind there and push that thing out. This little brace in here, but maybe we can get something in there to push out on it. I don't know that that did much good. Well, I got onto the top with a soft blow hammer. You can see it's not quite as wavy as it was. Still needs a little more massaging though. I think we ought to take and strip this down to metal. It'll make it a lot easier to see better what we're doing, I think. This one here, I got it to come out a little bit. But I think we're going to have to cut this brace out in order to pound that the rest of the way out. Then we can just weld this back in. You see the drip rail. There's a lot of wing dings in that. This might even be opened up. That gap is opened up, I think, right there. No shortage of work to do. All right, so we got her pretty much down to metal. You can see a lot of these areas are low. That just goes to show you how many areas. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but there's a lot of dents, a lot of small imperfections. There's quite a bit of work to do just on this one section, so you can imagine what it's going to take us to do this entire roof. Holes in it. We'll get the welder out and we'll fill them holes in. Looks like maybe somebody had a roof rack on there at one time or something. We'll go through and grind the whole thing down and straighten out these drip rails. And we got a lot of body working to do, I can see that. And this is just the beginning, fellas. I don't know if you've seen the rest of the Jeep, but yeah, she's pretty much a rust bucket. But at least this gives us a good idea of what we're up against in the coming weeks, okay? All right, so the differential in the front got the wire wheel, wire brush, brake clean, paint restoration. Don't worry, it's gonna work. That tie rod is pretty bent. Yep, we need a new tie rod. New tie rod ends. Add it to the pile. Well, we didn't get a whole lot done this week. If you want to call taking stuff apart done, but still waiting on parts for the transmission. Don't know what's going to happen with this this transfer case. I'm over it. I don't know. We got started on some body work. As you can see, I threw a quick coat of primer on it just so it didn't flash rust. But she's pretty bad. I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but it's pretty bad. But it's definitely going to have Bondo in it, I can tell you that much. So in the coming weeks, we'll be doing a lot of body work, let's just say. Hopefully from here on out, things will be rolling right along. The weather's turning better, and I don't know, I'm thinking this thing will roll, right? Those things will not roll on the grass, but if we went down and got a couple sheets of plywood, maybe we can get this thing out of here and get that chassis in here and start building on it. So the way I want to finish off this video is going over the budget. So far, we've got $1,200 into our minor freshen up kits, seals, bearing, gaskets for the transmission, transfer case, and gasket set for the engine, all the shocks, shackles, new motor mounts, brakes that I bought for it. I bought a 4x6 piece of 18 gauge metal for 120 bucks because I will tell you why. I've done research at the Jeep sites. 2 floor pans, 200 bucks a piece for this thing. 2 rear panels, it's $1,000, $500 a piece. It's $1,000 for the 2 of them. The rear floor pan they don't make for this thing, but you can get, I'm sure, ones for Jeeps and cut it up and make it fit. Front fenders are non-existent, so I don't even know what we're going to do about them. But I did find something promising. There is a rear tailgate repair kit. I think it's at the Jeepster Man or the Willy site or something. It's the new piano hinge with a replacement piece of metal for the bottom. That's 400 bucks for that. And if I spent any money on preformed pans, it would be something for that, because what we're going to do is we're going to make our own pans. So let's just say that we got 2 into the Jeep itself, $1,300 some odd dollars so far into it, and the cap is 3 to 4 tops. I did invest in a small brake and a bead roller, one of the cheap hand crank ones. And what we're going to do is we're going to make our own floor pans, and we're going to make the metal we need for repairs on this. Like I said, this side here, the passenger side, is really bad. If we have to cough up 500 bucks for that one, I guess we're going to have to. This one here, as bad as she is, we're going to try to repair that. Depending on how well I do on this one is whether I'll try to tackle that one on that side. I don't know. Like I said, I have very limited metal skills, which is I have none at all. We did get the body work kind of started, or just kind of a test spot to see what we're dealing with, and I'll tell you what, we're dealing with it's a mess. It really is a mess. At this point, we don't have a choice, so we're gonna roll our sleeves up and dig in. Okay, we finally got the bell housing off the engine. I had to take the flywheel off, or in this case, I guess it's called a ring gear. I don't know. But there's actually 3 bolts behind that ring gear. Not 2, 3. So we finally got that thing off. We're going to see if we can get her up on the engine stand. Well, it would appear that our engine stand does not have the right configuration to mount this Willy's straight 6 on her. I tell you, man, it's always something. So we're gonna have to jump online and see if there's an adapter we can get to fit on our engine stand to fit on this engine, so we can get it on that engine stand. Next week we can look forward to rebuilding our transmission. I got a yoke puller for the transfer case. Hopefully that'll work, and we'll get this body out of the garage, roll it out, get the chassis rolled back in, start building this thing back up again. Yeah, that's the plan. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Maybe hit the like button, share the video with a Jeep person. Maybe they'll be interested in it, I don't know. But until next time, man, take it easy.